Welcome to 2 Minute Tuesday, and yes, this video is very important. So it's definitely going to be longer than 2 minutes. Now, a while back, I spoke with a young lady who was selling final expense through a Florida Lincoln Heritage agency. Her main complaint wasn't about Lincoln Heritage or their final expense direct mail leads or the way she was trained or any of that, but it was actually about the clients that she was attempting to sell to. As the conversation went on, I realized that the issue she was having really wasn't on the behalf of the people that, she was meeting with, but it was most likely in the way she was making her final expense sales presentation. And most of all, the way she was pricing out the options and trying to close. Bottom line, I could tell she was having all sorts of internal issues that needed to be corrected. But the most obvious thing was that, she was incorrectly showing the prospects the pricing, for one thing, and second, she really wasn't even prepared to do a price drop close. So before I share with you the most effective way of showing your prospects the pricing options, I'm going to ask that you give the video a big old thumbs up right now. That way YouTube keeps playing our videos and sharing across the World Wide Web. And if you're new to our channel, you absolutely want to subscribe and then hit the little notification button. That way you're notified each time we put out a new final expense sales training video just like this one. Just an FYI, we are putting out new content on a weekly basis. Now, guys, in this video, you're going to see me use a pricing page that all our top producers use. So if you'd like me to give you a copy, just hang around all the way to the end of the video and I'll gladly show you how you can obtain this extremely important piece of sales material for yourself. So the young lady that I spoke with, the girl that worked with Lincoln Heritage, the Lincoln Heritage agent, when we spoke, she sounded desperate for help. She was failing miserably, absolutely had pretty much no clue as to why this was happening. During our very long conversation, I realized there were several issues, including her lack of sales experience, which is always, takes time to learn how to close sales. And the fact that it was obvious that she got into this business with the expectation that people would be actively seeking and looking to buy final expense life insurance was all wrong. I mean, think about it. That's rarely the case. Nobody thinks to themselves, oh, I need to go buy some life insurance to protect the family. How much is it? Oh, here's my check. Go ahead, take my money. Doesn't work that way, guys. I am absolutely, without a doubt, 100% sure that she was making a very weak presentation, which is probably lacking in all aspects of a strong presentation that I would, teach her if she was on my sales team. There was this one statement that she actually made to me that kind of gave it all away. She said something to the effect of, these people can't afford anything. The lady I sat down with yesterday couldn't even afford my third option, which was $23. Let me be clear, guys. If you're showing 3 options, which is wrong anyways, your third bottom option should never be $23. If you're showing something that cheap, you have no clue as to what you're doing. You're doing it all wrong. Your thinking's wrong. Whoever taught you this is a freaking idiot. You need to forget about what you think you know, start all over, and learn how to sell final expense insurance correctly. Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to take out my frustration on you guys. I mean, you might be watching this because this is all sounding familiar and you're trying to figure out why you're having such a hard time closing sales too. I get it. Believe me, I was a noob once before too. Look, this isn't mortgage protection sales. This isn't term life sales. I know with these type of sales, of life insurance sales, we normally would show a client maybe 3 options. Believe me, 3 options is plenty, again, for those markets, for normal life insurance sales. But with final expense, I highly recommend showing at least 5 or maybe even 6 options. Here's the kicker. The biggest mistake that you can make while doing a final expense presentation when you get to the close is to show your bottom cheapest option to be less than $50 per month. That would be a big mistake. I don't care who you're sitting with. And if you're thinking, well, Doug, that's not always the case. Most of my clients are so poor that I know they can't afford no $50 a month payment. Look, hold your thinking. Let's just pretend that I actually know what I'm doing. And maybe for my first 5 years in the business was actually one of the highest producing final expense agents in the entire country. And let's just pretend that even last year, selling part-time, I was still one of those top producers, at least with my main carrier. Let's also assume that maybe what you think to be true, what your experience has taught you, that you've learned, maybe isn't quite right. Maybe kind of like, fake news-ish. I only say this because one of the things that I learned about sales is that we can often convince ourselves that something is absolutely a fact. Meanwhile, there's other people out there proving us completely wrong. Here's what I'm getting at. First of all, if you're showing less than $50 per month for your bottom option, you're not leaving yourself any room to do your price drop close. Well, that's what I call the technique that I teach our agents, when it comes time to do the pricing, the client can't afford it, and then you got to drop the price. Because you're going to always want to show your regular 5 or 6 pricing options and expect, them to maybe give you an excuse or, an objection to overcome at that point. So let me say this again. You should always expect your client to give you an objection when you're closing your sale. That way it's no surprise. And since the main objection in our business is always, 90% of the time, it really comes down to affordability. All you really need to do is be prepared to drop the price below that $50 mark. And if you're doing this correctly, the way that I would teach you if you were one of our agents, you'll always be prepared for the objection and always know how to deal with the objection, which will always make it easier for you to close that sale. So let's get back to the conversation that I had with the Florida Lincoln Heritage agent. She was showing her price drop option, actually even lower than what that option should be. She was showing it right from the start, giving herself nowhere to go. So she was just basically laying all her cards out on the table, so to speak. And when you do that, anyone with half a brain that can sense that this is what you're doing isn't going to just roll over and pick an option and buy. Also, I did realize that she was working in a city that I had worked before and I had sold in. And I know it's a totally doable market, but it is one of the tougher areas to sell final expense life insurance in. It's a big city. And the big city folks are used to salespeople coming around. They're naturally getting better at getting rid of the salespeople, especially final expense agents. Therefore, again, that area it's still good for final expense sales, like I said, but you need to be a talented professional. You kind of got to be really, really persistent. You're definitely in an area like that. You want to door knock all your leads. And most important, you must have a strong, solid final expense presentation in order to have any success in an area like that. For a copy of the pricing page that I use during my sales presentation, just email me at doug@ufesonline.com. And if you'd like to know how to learn from the best and be part of our sales team, you can just shoot me an email at that same address. Remember, guys, when you put the needs of your clients first, everything else will usually fall right into place. Now, get on out there and do something good for someone today. Happy hunting.